Is it worth the upgrade from the game-changing Insta360 X4 to the all-new Insta360 X5? And how much of a difference is there? Believe it or not, but it's quite noticeable. Now, before we get to comparing the footage and performance of these two cameras, let me explain what these really are. For those of you who don't know, these are made by the company Insta360, the most popular and arguably the best consumer 360 camera manufacturer. Insta360 mainly focuses on action cameras like their main lineup, the X series 360 cameras. They also make GoPro-like normal action cameras and gimbals, but primarily focus on 360 cameras, and with the X4 and the X5, they have made massive differences and improvements in the market. Now, for those of you who don't know what a 360 camera is, these are action cameras, a certain type of action camera. They're like GoPros, but 360 camera has two lenses. One lens on each side. They're also warped. So essentially they could view in 360 in a ball or a sphere that you get to reframe, crop, twist, zoom in and out of when you're editing to kind of change your view. Like for example, when you record 8K on these two cameras, which introduce 8K 30 FPS, you're gonna reframe that to 4K 30 FPS typically, because that's how it works. So yeah, they're action cameras similar to GoPros with two lenses. They do typically cost a little bit more, about 500 to 550 bucks. The X5 is 550 at launch, USD. And by the way, no, this video is not sponsored. So the X4 had some of the biggest improvements and changes, also had 5.7K, but doubled it to 60 FPS and added 8K at 30 FPS, and also like almost doubled it to 4K 100. This has all that same stuff, but it could do 4K 120. I don't know why that couldn't do that before. I think it's processing power. With that said, I've created a setup for both of these cameras on selfie sticks to compare them, and each time I'll tell you what to look out for while comparing these. But this is gonna be 360 video like every single time. Unfortunately, I'm not gonna do other smaller things. I might get into time lapse. No, I don't think I'll cover that. And some other things I'll be leaving out, and photos, and also leave out single lens mode. So one of the major things you're going to need to keep in mind when we compare these two cameras is it's very inconsistent. These are 360 cameras, and I could dwell so much more into this, I should, but it's just really complex when you try and compare these two cameras with all accuracy. So certain things will not look as if they should. So for example, the X4 might look better at low light in certain scenarios than the X5, even though the X5 should. And we're also going to be comparing and testing some new improvements and features like, you know, triple AI processor, dual 0.78 inch sensors with the X5. With that said, it's kind of hard to get my point across, but it's kind of really wonky to compare these two cameras and inconsistent, and doesn't necessarily always mean it's true, because in different scenarios it might act differently a little bit. With that said, let's get into our first comparison. We're both gonna have all the same settings on the X4, the X5, but shooting top resolution, 8K 30. So with that said, we're mainly looking for detail, low light, and see how much more better detail or clear the X5 should be. And by the way, guys, if certain things do not add up or don't make sense, have any questions, feel free to drop them down in the comments below. And now with that said, let's go and compare HDR. They both introduced 5.7K 60 FPS now, so you can slow that down by 2, but the X4 is only one that can't do that with HDR. So you have to do 5.7K 30 to get HDR. The X5 can do that at 60 FPS, which is pretty nice. That said, let's compare that and see if the HDR looks better. Now this one's gonna be a little bit short, but now we're gonna compare slow motion at 360 video, lowest resolution for slow motion. So 4K 100 in the X4, slow that down by 4 times to 25 FPS. And X5 can now, thankfully, to 4K 120, not much of a difference, but slow that down to like by 5 times to also 25 FPS. So this one's a little bit wonky. One of them's cropped in more, so it's gonna look like the other one that should be going slower is going faster or something. This is gonna be probably one of my favorite comparisons now. Pure video mode, X4 doesn't have it, X5 does. So they're both rocking 8K 30, but X5 has pure video mode assisted by its AAA processor and its 0.78 something 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 inch sensor, dual, by the way, compared to a 0.5 inch dual on the X4. So pure video mode is just really good low light, and I'll just throw it into low light situations. This one's gonna be a lot more wonky, but the X5 should have better audio. I'm gonna be throwing both stereo at them. They have different aspects to how good it's gonna sound, what way it's gonna sound. And so they're gonna sound differently, but I don't prefer one over the other. The X4 is probably gonna sound more closer up. The X5 is gonna have like all the sound. So I don't know. I didn't have the best audio settings on this one to compare with the new feature of the X5. So let's see audio here, both stereo. So right now you're hearing the audio out of the Insta360 X4. So I'm just gonna turn this camera all around. You could hear it right now from the X4. I'm gonna put it out a little farther. Does this sound? Insta360 X4, which is right there. And now I'm gonna switch it over to the Insta360 X5. Now we're on the X5. How does it sound over here? I'm gonna get closer to it. X5 stereo. So I'll go switch it over to that one right. Okay. With that said, this is kind of a really interesting and not so good. It's just hard to do for 360 cameras comparison. With that said, hope you guys enjoyed today's video. We have many other interesting videos and better content than this. This is kind of more niche maybe. But if you enjoy our videos and think we did a good job, and this takes a lot of work, by the way. So if you enjoy our videos and if you want to, hit the subscribe button, and see you guys in the next video. And we have many other cool fishing adventures coming up in the future. And we're actually gonna go fishing today. Not in this video, but see you in the next one.